Good morning, I am Dr. Seema and today we learn about the applied aspects of arches of foot. Specific learning objectives of today's class. At the end of the class, students should be able to explain the anatomical basis of pes planus, pes cavus, club foot, hallux valgus, march foot and hammer toe. Pes planus or flat foot is a condition in which there will be flattening of longitudinal arches, especially medial longitudinal arch, which results in a complete touching of the sole onto the ground when you walk or stand. And it is one of the commonest of all foot problems. It is normal in infants up to 2 to 3 years because though at the time of birth there will be an apparent presence of longitudinal arches, it will be hidden by the presence of abundance of fat in the sole. And this condition can occur congenitally or it can be an acquired condition. Predisposing factors of flat foot. Abnormal distribution of the body weight onto the arch due to rapid increase in body weight. Otherwise, it can be due to loss of tone in the leg muscles from prolonged standing or fatigue. And it can be even acquired due to faulty footwear or bad walking style. Anatomical basis of pes planus. The above mentioned predisposing factors may lead to tear or overstretching of spring ligament, which is otherwise known as the plantar calcaneonavicular ligament. It can even lead to the stretching of plantar aponeurosis. And you all know that spring ligament has got a great effect on the medial longitudinal arch because it supports the head of talus, which maintains the summit of the medial longitudinal arch, and it even maintains the talonavicular joint, and it supports the head of talus. As the support of head of talus is lost due to the overstretching or tear of spring ligament, the head of talus moves downwards and medially between calcaneus and navicular bone. As a result, there will be flattening of the medial longitudinal arch with a lateral deviation of the foot. This is the lateral X-ray of foot, and this is a normal foot and this is a pes planus condition. So in this you can very clearly see that this is the head of talus and it is articulating with the navicular bone, and this is the calcaneum. Okay, and this is a pes planus condition in which you can see the head of talus is moved between calcaneum and the navicular bone. Now we will see the effects of pes planus. So this is again a diagram of pes planus, and you can clearly see that there is no arch present in the foot and the sole of the foot is touching the ground. And this is the head of talus which is projecting medially. And as a result of all this, the foot will be more liable to trauma and osteoarthritis as there is loss of shock absorption function, and there is always compression of nerves and vessels of the sole. And as the communication between the lateral and medial plantar nerves are compressed, there will be pain in the forefoot which is known as the metatarsalgia. In pes planus, loss of spring in the foot leads to clumsy shuffling gait. Pes cavus is an exaggeration of the longitudinal arch, and there is a plantar flexion at the transverse tarsal joint so that the anterior part of the foot drops below the level of the posterior part. When the patient walks with the highly arched foot, the toes are dorsiflexed at the metatarsophalangeal joint and plantar flexed at the interphalangeal joints. Such deformity, when it is associated with pes cavus, it is called as clawfoot. And this is usually seen along with clubfoot, spina bifida and poliomyelitis. Clubfoot or talipes. It's a complex congenital deformity of foot characterized by malalignment of the foot. That means there will be defect in the structure and position of foot. It involves soft and bony structures in the hind foot, midfoot and forefoot. An untreated case can limit a person's mobility by making it difficult and painful to walk. A clubfoot can affect one or both feet, and the affected feet will be always shorter. And it is one of the commonest birth defect of foot, and it is found more in male babies. Clubfoot can be congenital or acquired, and four primary types of clubfoot are recognized. The first one is talipes equinus. In this, the foot is fixed in plantar flexed position and the toes are directed to the ground. The affected individual practically run using the forepart of the feet similar to a horse, and that's why it is called as talipes equinus. And the second variety is talipes calcaneus. In this, the heel is on the ground and the toes remain upturned because the foot is fixed in dorsiflexed position at the ankle joint. The third type is talipes varus, and in this the foot is fixed in inversion and adduction. The fourth type is the talipes valgus. In this the foot is fixed in eversion and abduction, and in these both cases the primary defect is at subtalar and talocalcaneo-navicular joint. Combination of the primary deformities of clubfoot may take place in different forms as shown in the diagram. Among these, the commonest one is the talipes equinovarus. Talipes equinovarus. This is the commonest type of clubfoot. In this, the foot is inverted and adducted and it is plantar flexed. And the patient walks on the lateral border of the front part of foot. And this mainly occurs due to the failure or weakness of the action of everters and dorsiflexors of the foot. Anatomical basis of congenital clubfoot. It can occur due to failure of muscle growth when compared to the skeletal growth. And the second reason may be an imbalance in the growth of different muscles or tendons. And it can even seen associated with spina bifida. So, in case if there is a weakness of the action of everters, the foot will be fixed in inverted position and vice versa. Similar way, if there is a weakness of the dorsiflexors, the foot will be fixed in plantar flexion position and vice versa. Hallux valgus. In this condition, the great toe is adducted towards the midline of the foot. Primary defect lies in some degree of abduction of first metatarsal joint, and the deviation of the great toe appears subsequently by wearing of narrow pointed shoes. This results in undue prominence of the medial part of the metatarsal head. A bursa or bunion usually forms in the subcutaneous tissue overlying the prominent area. Hammer toe. This deformity usually affects the second or third toe, and it is often associated with hallux valgus. In this deformity, the metatarsophalangeal and the distal interphalangeal joints are hyperextended, but the proximal interphalangeal joint is acutely flexed. March foot. Sometimes the neck of the intermediate metatarsals undergo decalcification when they are subjected to continuous strain. A minor injury may lead to pathological fracture in the neck of the affected bone. This is commonly observed in soldiers who, after a period of sedentary occupation, have rejoined and are forced to walk for a long time, and hence it is also known as the march fracture. Thank you and have a nice day.